Alright, so I got a Mazda 20B3 rotor in. It was really dirty on the outside, worn out on the inside. Ended up lapping the sides, porting, polishing, all OEM parts, and I videotaped a lot of the footage on my cell phone, so here's a little bit of that build. Kyle Mohan Racing, 20B cell phone footage. We like Rotary. Alright, so start off by cleaning everything. We already stripped our motor down. It was all greasy, dirty, so we're dipping all of our internal parts through the sonic cleaners and doing some hand cleaning on some of the more important small parts like the stationary gears. Want to be careful of the bearings. I usually end up cleaning these by hand. The rotors got new bearings, fully cleaned, all spec'd out. All OEM parts came from Mazda tricks, OEM oil control rings, OEM apex seals. We hand cut all the side seals, so should be nice and tight. Better than new, great compression. Side housings all got completely resurfaced, lapped, and we chose a nice big street port. So you can see everything shining up. Kyle Mohan Racing templates available from KyleMohanRacing.com or Mazda Tricks. You want to take your time with the porting. 20Bs have some different water passages, or at least thinner castings than a lot of your 13Bs, so take your time. On the rotor housings, we opted to just use 13B housings. It doesn't really matter. They come with a better flowing exhaust sleeve from the factory, so it makes things a little simpler. And with it being a turbocharged motor, we pulled the template downwards a little bit and did a nice big street port. You want to make sure to radius the edges, keep everything nice and balanced. After the cut, come in with sandpaper rolls and flapping, do a nice polish. And then obviously right there, KMR exhaust template. Check those out. And you see the port came out real nice. You just have to do it 3 times on a 20B. So with everything matched up, we went back to doing some cleaning and setting up basically to paint our housings and get ready for the build. Nice and clean on the inside now. I mean, we got to make it look good on the outside too. So with a little fresh gloss black paint, now the outside is cleaned up. You can see with those new rotor housings, we've gone from dirty and crusty to basically completely freshened 20B. Restoration. Alright, starting our build, we're going to move from the center plate. And we're basically, with a 20B being a 3 rotor, we're building a 13B plus a rotor. I like to use Hylamar on the water seals, a little added seal. Dowel pins in, O-rings in, everything's been acetoned, cleaned, and then our rotor housing goes on. Stationary gear's already in and torqued. We drop the rotor in, and then we can drop our apex seals down in. Always be really careful with the eccentric shaft and apex seals. You don't want to scratch any of the new surfaces or damage anything on installation. Moving on to our next chamber. We've now got the center plate, which equates to our rear rotor housing and rear rotor. Drop those in carefully, clean everything thoroughly. O-rings go in on the rear housing. And then with a little help from my crew member and assistant, we drop the rear plate on. And just like that, everything should line up nice and smooth. And then you're going to put in the available tension bolts, because we've got to flip the motor over and work from the other side. But you don't want to over tighten or under tighten. You've got to compress your water seals and keep the motor square. If the shaft gets bound up, you're twisting your bearings. or putting undue pressure on the block. So take your time, read the manual. All right, it's time to flip our 20B over. Nice and careful, Mazda Tricks engine stand head. Clean everything off with acetone. It's really important. Eccentric shafts and 20Bs are 2 pieces, and they've got a keyway and a taper press. Make sure the press is nice and dry, and drop that lobe on. Once you've got your front rotor housing on, you can drop your rotor in, prep the front housing, put your gear in, get it on, get your bolts in, and it's time to stack the front end. I like to do a dry stack, make sure everything's going to fit. I get a flywheel on there with a flywheel stop and torque the whole thing down with no front cover. That way I can do a front end plate check and take my time to make sure everything's set up perfectly. And then I'll put my oil pump chain on, lock everything down, and actually do a final torque and silicone on the front cover. Boom, there you have it. Kyle Mohan Racing, building a 20B and doing a nice rotary restoration.